Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price this Tuesday, as the Fed's announcement of interest rates is going to be coming out in less than 24 hours. So I wanted to get out this emergency update before the announcement, because if we start to see bearish price action, this is what we have to keep in mind, Snipers, that Bitcoin is in a potential head and shoulder pattern right now. And so in the immediate short term, to invalidate this bearish pattern, what we need to see for Bitcoin is to invalidate that right shoulder. And it's not a coincidence that that right shoulder shows confluence here with the previous weekly open right around that $22,000 level. Now that does seem like a long ways to go for Bitcoin, as we haven't even seen Bitcoin get back above the 2018 previous all-time high, but we know the markets will do the complete opposite of what everyone expects. If everyone is bearish and everyone's talking about a head and shoulder pattern, then what if we start to see the opposite reaction? That's something that we want to monitor, Snipers. And then of course the DXY and the S&P 500 will continue to monitor. But the fact of the matter is, if we were to just look at the chart as black and white, we are fully below the major resistance level right now, which is 19,798, with this daily candle fully below it. The door is open to 17,204. And remember, if we come to 17,204, there is a potential bear trap on the table where we form a double bottom here, maybe even a lower low, because we know that before Bitcoin is going to recover, there's potentially going to be a move that's going to cause a lot of liquidations. And we know that the most amount of liquidations, as we discussed yesterday, would be right around that $17,000 level. So let's keep that in mind, Snipers. 17,204 is the major support. And then maybe to entertain some of the bears, if we break below 17,204, then 13,970 comes on the table. That's the new support level below 17,204. But the fact of the matter is, Bitcoin market structure wise is in a head and shoulder pattern, and we have to invalidate this by getting above that previous weekly open at 22,000 US dollars in order to invalidate the head and shoulder pattern. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here for Bitcoin over the next 24 hours when this Fed's interest rate hike announcement comes out. So let's continue to monitor the chart, Snipers. And then of course, all of the altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin. But what about the four-dimensional revolving parts? Let's actually quickly look at some of these four-dimensional revolving parts here, because the DXY is what's going to cause this next move. We're going to see the opposite reaction with the DXY. If Bitcoin goes down, DXY is going to be pushing up. If Bitcoin moves up, it's because the DXY is pushing down, right? And so what's the DXY doing right now? Well, it's testing major resistance close to its yearly highs. And so at this point, as long as we don't get above the yearly highs, which is right around 111, then we want to continue to monitor the major support, which is the previous weekly open at 108.60. Getting below 108.60 opens up the door to downside. That's the bullish case. Breaking above 111 would be the bearish case for equity markets and Bitcoin. Is S&P 500 giving us any hints? Well, it's sitting at major support. So I guess the best way to put it right now, Snipers, is Bitcoin is sitting at major support. The S&P 500 is sitting at major support, and the DXY is sitting at major resistance. We're going to have news that comes out in less than 24 hours from the Feds. And based on that, if we were to see a continuation of what we're currently seeing, then most people are expecting the DXY to push up further and then the equity markets and Bitcoin to push down. Is that on the table? Absolutely on the table. But that's why we have our major levels on our chart. Bitcoin needs to break above that previous weekly open at 22,000 US dollars to invalidate the macro bearish pattern. We get above 22,000 US dollars, there's a potential we move even further above the 20-week moving average, because that's the major resistance. 19,798 is going to give us the earliest confirmation. We'll continue to monitor that as well. And then let's just quickly take a look at the major levels for Ethereum, because it's not a coincidence that we stopped here at 1277. That was the major support. As long as we're above 1277, then we have 1440 as our major resistance, in 2018 previous all-time high. We break below 1277, opens up the door to 1,000 US dollars, all the way actually down to 909 US dollars, right? Ethereum's a more volatile asset. So those are the two major support levels down below. And then other than that, I will mention that when it comes to the other four-dimensional revolving parts, we can quickly observe what's happening here to Bitcoin against SPY, also sitting at major support right now. Let's look at how international markets are doing right now. Japan and China within less than 0.5% of volatility. So not much going on there, not too many answers being given. MicroStrategy just acquired some more Bitcoin, but they were down 4% in today's regular trading session. That's interesting to see. At any point, snipers, there could be a volatile move to the upside. Let's continue to monitor the potential bear trap. Remember this as well. We filled the CME gap down below, and so we do have the green light to push up right now. We initially didn't fill the CME gap, but now we did. And so if Bitcoin were to push up, then now we've filled this gap. There's one more CME gap down below at 9,665. That would be if the world was ending type of scenario, worst case scenario for Bitcoin. And then we have a lot of gaps up top, which is actually a positive thing, because at some point, whether it's sooner, maybe later, we're gonna probably come to fill those gaps up top. But the macro environment obviously is gonna affect this, and that's why the Fed's announcement is extremely important. So just wanted to get out this quick update, snipers, to let you guys know what's going on, what we're monitoring, what the major levels are prior to the Fed's announcement. So let's see what happens. It's going to be in less than 24 hours. Let's continue to monitor the charts, because we could expect some volatility, snipers, and I'll get a video out if we do see that volatility as soon as I can to keep you guys updated on the #1 cryptocurrency channel on the internet. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Until next time, snipers.